On this episode of Raising the Wild Ones podcast.
Real men don't wear flip-flops, Dustin. Okay.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
That was Pete Rogers, the voice you just heard. Pete spends many days a year afield enjoying God's creation while hunting, fishing, hiking, or camping. Pete has traveled to 49 states and numerous Canadian provinces pursuing his passion in the outdoors.
If I'm alone hunting and I know I got a long sit, right? I'll take my Bible with me, and as opposed to reading it on the screen, because that's my screen detox. When I'm out there hunting, I'll take my Bible with me with pages and a cover and everything, and a pen. I know, hard to believe. It still blows my mind when you go to church and you see people and the preacher's going to read the scripture and they pull up their phones. I'm like, there's something about holding the book, the word in your hand, and feeling those super thin pages.
Raising the Wild Ones podcast.
But yeah, so we've been talking about dove hunting. So yesterday, our opener started, and I killed 10. I actually ended up killing my limit. My oldest son, he wanted to go hunting in the morning, so I took him out. He wanted to wake up early, so we were up at we were out there when the sun rose and killed 10. And then my youngest wanted to go as well, but he didn't want to wake up. So I told my youngest, I was like, we're going to stop hunting for a little bit. That way we can go out and we can have a few more to shoot so he can enjoy it a little bit. And then I took him out. So, but that was fun. So Dustin, you said you killed some?
Yeah, just a couple though. I mean, I didn't really try too terribly hard. Like I said, I was really kind of just hanging out my front porch. We've recently bought just a little bit of land. So it's the first time I'm really kind of hunting where I'm at here, and it was just really weird because it's also the first time I've been able to just flip on my flip-flops and grab my shotgun and walk out the front porch, which is not the best idea because I ended up cutting my foot wide open last night too. Yeah. But hey,
it happens.
No. Real men don't wear flip-flops, Dustin. Okay.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
That was Pete Rogers, the voice you just heard, and he. I'll read a little bit of your bio here, and then we can jump in here. So, Pete Rogers is a graduate from the University of South Carolina and earned a Mastery of Divinity degree from Erskine. Did I say that right?
That's right.
Okay, Erskine Theological Seminary before being ordained. So, more than 25 years ago, Pete began merging his love for writing with his love for the outdoors. I'll say real quick, I've got my 10-year-old loves writing. He's all about writing, which right now he's writing, he's wrote like thousands and thousands of comics, and he's starting to write graphic novels, and he just loves writing, and we keep buying those publishing kits and sending them off. But when did you start writing?
For publication, I've been writing my whole life, but for publication in 99.
99? Cool. Well,
that's when I had my first story published, yeah.
Okay. So Pete spends many days a year afield enjoying God's creation while hunting, fishing, hiking, or camping. Pete has traveled to 49 states and numerous Canadian provinces pursuing his passion in the outdoors. Taking these other experiences, Pete has published more than 1,400 magazine articles and 4,000 photographs in his career. His stories and photographs have earned more than 60 awards in literary, photographic, and videography competitions. He is also the author of 6 books. And also, I'll kind of summarize this last one. He started a Christian Outdoors podcast, is what it's called, Christian Outdoors Podcast, in 2019. And it is rated as one of the top 1% podcasts worldwide. So how are you today?
Man, I'm doing well. I am. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, yeah. We're very excited to have you. So did we miss anything?
Well, no.
No.
I mean, that's enough, that's enough. Yeah. Yeah. It's always one of the humbling things to try to write a bio of yourself, but as a mentor of mine once said, as long as it's actual, you're not embellishing. So you just put the facts down and it speaks for itself. But all that stuff that you said is over a lifetime of doing things. Right. Uh-huh. And that stuff didn't happen in a short period of time. I'm 61 years old, so it's been going on for a long time. So
I got you.
Mm-hmm. I will say in the bio, you said 49 states, right? So
that's right.
What is the one state you haven't hunted in?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. All right. All
Hawaii.
right. I was thinking
Oh, you
like
got it.
New
Why?
Jersey or something. I was like, maybe it's New
No,
Jersey. That's a
no.
small little state.
Well, let me clarify that. I've visited 49 states. I haven't hunted in all of them.
Oh,
I've
okay.
hunted in 19 states is how many states I've
19
hunted in.
states.
Yeah, but I have visited now 49 states, and Hawaii's the last one. And while we're on that real quick, my oldest son is in the Army, and he's getting ready to be stationed in Hawaii come this coming spring in 26. So
There's your
I
Heck
visit
guess
right
yeah.
there.
I'll finally get to get that one checked. Having a real excuse to go is to go see my
Yeah.
son. So
Hey, when
yeah,
you go, you can axis hunt. Have you
yeah,
seen
and
those?
I have, and they have
Yeah.
pigs and goats and
Yeah.
turkeys as well. So yeah, we'll just see if we can schedule it to get some of that done as well.
Now you're a big turkey hunter, correct?
I am. I really love it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you killed the Grand Slam?
I haven't, and a lot of people ask me that because while I've traveled to hunt a lot, I've never traveled to hunt turkeys. However,
Oh really?
yeah, a friend of mine and a pastor friend of mine from Kentucky, Chris Taylor, and I have a Western turkey tour planned for 26. And right now, the plan is Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Wyoming,
Oh
because
wow.
they're all right there together.
Hmm.
So if you plan it well, you can hit those four states in just a few days. Because they're only just a few miles. Just right in those corners, and you can get four states checked off pretty quick. So
Yeah.
that's our
I've
plan for
actually
next spring. Yeah.
Okay. My only out of state hunt has been in Wyoming, and I killed a Merriam's.
Oh,
So
cool, cool.
I'm 50% of the way there
There
because
you
we
go.
have Rios here, of course. But
Yeah.
my wife keeps wanting to go to Florida on vacation, and I'm like, we can go like mid-March, I think,
Yeah.
or first
Yeah.
of March. I'm
Hmm.
like, we can go then, and y'all can go to the beach. I can go to the swamps and try to kill an Osceola.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's not quite down yet, so we got.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that. No, I've only killed Easterns, because I live in South Carolina, so I've hunted South Carolina and North Carolina for turkeys, and that's pretty much it. I grew up hunting them. I killed my first one in '78, and I have just been addicted to turkeys ever since. And but I've just hunted them locally.
Mhm.
All of my travel hunts have been for in the fall for either deer or elk or um, antelope, those kind of things. So
I
yeah,
got you. Well,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, if
mhm,
I'm eventually I'll get an Eastern and Osceola, but eventually I'm not sure when I'm going to do that yet. But
yeah, yeah.
so one thing I wanted to ask you, I was looking through your podcast a little bit, and you've interviewed some cool people.
Mhm.
So like some of the people like Willie Robertson, I believe, was one.
Yeah,
Will Primos, Jim
yeah,
Shockey, some of those
yeah,
guys. And I guess I'll
mhm,
preface this by saying, when I was a kid, I grew up watching hunting shows, watching turkey hunting shows, Michael Waddell, a bunch
mhm.
of those guys. And so what's it like talking to those guys, I guess, and I guess kind of what's it like talking to those guys, but also what's it like sharing the gospel in the outdoor industry and being a part of that industry? Because I know and for those people listening, I don't want to compare it to Hollywood, but it's an industry where people are on TV and people are famous and they get a lot of notoriety for these things. Like
Mhm.
most people in the hunting world knows who Jim Shockey is, and everybody's watched the shows and seen him for years and years. So what's it like being around those kind of people, and what's it like sharing the gospel in that industry? And is it a hard thing to do in that industry, or is it easy? Are people accepting of it? And I guess what's it like in that?
Well, it's a kind of a complex answer, but it really goes to why I started the podcast. Because being an outdoor writer for now 26 years, and doing that, you get to know all these people. You get to meet them. You get to interview them. Not recording, but you get to interview them for stories and for magazine articles and stuff. And going to the trade shows, going to SHOT Show, ATA Show, and all these other ones. So you're interacting with them on a semi-regular basis. And one of the things that I realized is that um, in talking with these people through the years is that for the majority or for most of them, they are people of faith. But at that time, in the early 2000s and the 2010s, Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Channel, Pursuit did not want anything about God on the show. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say who, but there was someone I interviewed early on, and when they were sent their pilot into the Outdoor Channel, there was a pan, like a B-roll, a pan going across, and there was a cross on the wall in the background, and there was a Bible on the table. And they told them that they had to remove all that in order, there can be no religious displays whatsoever. Now that was early on, right?
And this was back when like it was only on say ESPN back in the early days.
No, this was Outdoor Channel at the time.
Outdoor
right?
Channel. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So this would have been in the 2000s and 2010, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I didn't get the exact year that they did that, but they've been on the show a long time, or on TV for a long time. And so, but what I noticed is that these people, by and large, are people of faith, but have nowhere to express it. And when I'm talking to them at a trade show face to face, or I'm interviewing them, my faith is important to me, and I usually find a way to bring it up in some way or fashion. And I would always get this positive feedback, and and people like Will. I don't like to name drop, okay? Because but a lot of these people that you mentioned were vocal about their faith and how important it was to them early on, and so it started interesting to me to say, how can I merge my passion for the outdoors and my passion for Christ into one place? Because in the writing world, we wasn't allowed to, it was all edited out. If you made any reference of God, or, I mean, if it was very generic, like enjoying God's creation, some of that, then it might be left in, depending on the magazine or the publication. But that was one of the catalysts that got me started into thinking about doing the podcast of Christian Outdoors, was to give these people, not just the famous people as you call them, but also regular people who share the passion for the outdoors and a passion for Christ, and give us a platform where we can discuss both, because we love Jesus and we love hunting and fishing and trapping and camping and backpacking and hiking and stuff. We love it all, but how can we find a place to share all of it? And that's really how I started the podcast. So to your question, I'd already known these people. Well, I mean, a few of them I hadn't met. Like I've never met Willie before, but I had met Jim Shockey on many occasions at the trade shows. I've met Mr. Primos many times at trade shows, and had interviewed him. So it wasn't anything new to me. If anything, it was just friends talking, and but now we're being blunt or open about our faith, and I ask questions for them to share it. And it's been really cool to hear them share their faith journey. And if you've listened to my show, or any of your audience has listened to my show, you kind of see how I do it. I do it the exact same way. I've done it, the show, the same way since day one. And that is, we talk about an outdoor pursuit, and then I ask them to share their faith journey. And the way that I package that is, I want to hear your testimony, but I want to hear more than that, because for a lot of people sharing their testimony, this is when I got saved, right? Which is important. Mm-hmm. But I want to know, did you grow up in a Christian home? And did you you hear this a lot, grew up in a Christian home, hit my teens, got to college, went wild for a while, and then came back, right? Or you hear the story.
Like my story.
Yeah, but you hear that a lot. That's kind of the most common one of the ones of the people I interview. But then there's also the people who didn't grow up in church at all and came to it later in life, maybe in their 30s, 40s, 50s, even. And it's just a fascinating to get to hear people share their story, and especially the gap, when they share the gap. They grew up in church, strayed a little bit, and they talk about, I mean, some people strayed a long way, but they came back. And on the side note, one of the things that has always said to me in hearing those stories is, what does the Bible say? If you raise your children up in the way they should go, they will not depart from it. They may stray from it, but they'll come back. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's important to do that. So it's been a lot of fun. It really is. It's a lot of fun. But interestingly, even though I've interviewed all those big names, well, there's still a couple I'm trying to get. I'm not going to say who, but there's still a couple I'm trying to get. And you can't get them this time of year because they're traveling and hunting.
I know I was very happy we were able to get you, because I sent it. I was like, there's no way we're getting him, but we got lucky.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. But, but it's really the people that I meet along the way, and or someone tells me, "Hey, Pete, like Will Primos gave me a couple of names. You really need to talk to this guy. This guy's got a great story." And I never heard of him, right? But he knows them through somebody who through somebody. And some of those stories have had the most downloads, the most impact.
Mhm.
Actually, my number one story of 24, I think it was 24, maybe in 23, was a female backpacker. But her story was so powerful. It actually won Best Podcast of the Year in an outdoor competition that I put in. Her
Wow.
story was so powerful that it has exploded. And now she has her own show because of she saw what the impact that story was. Her show's called Messages from the Mountain, and she's in the backpacking world and hiking world, and so she talked to those people and share their victory. But it's it's a lot of fun, and God has really really blessed us with a lot of people listening, and it's been fun. It really has.
Cool. Yeah. And one of the reasons we started this podcast was, number one, to talk about things we enjoy, such as, we talk from anywhere to any crazy stuff in the Bible, but to theology, to people
Mhm.
and preachers and, people
Mhm.
with different testimonies and stuff. But we initially started to also kind of talk to dads about how to be good dads and how to be good parents um, and how to be good fathers and be we kind of haven't talked about that in a while, but that's one of the things we wanted to start talking about as well. So, what do you say? So you said you have a son earlier. What do you say to dads trying to raise young men, young kids up in the outdoor world? What's some advice you have for dads that are trying to raise you good young Christian men and women that and also enjoy outdoor pursuits?
Well, I'm gonna break that into two categories first. Let's talk about the guys who take their 3-year-old hunting,
Mm-hmm.
and or their 4-year-old. Um, every dad makes their own decision for their own kid. Okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I want to offer a couple words of caution on mistakes I've made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have 2 sons and 3 girls. Okay, and all of them have hunted. Um, and early mistakes was taking them too early and keeping them too long.
Mm.
Okay. Um, and I'm trying to figure out how to say this without making somebody mad who's taking their 4-year-old hunting, and killing stuff at 4 years old. Right. I'm gonna tell you what my approach was. Like I said, every parent has to make their own decision for their own children as long as it's legal and safe. But for me, firearm safety was critical.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to let them think about taking an animal's life until they understand that death is permanent.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
also they would carry their Red Ryder with them, with me, on squirrel hunts. They couldn't shoot it. They had to carry it in a safe manner. They had to never point the muzzle at me, wave the muzzle by me. They had to make sure their finger was not on the trigger until I was telling them that they could shoot at this tree stump or whatever it was. Right. I instilled in them the importance of gun safety, and I instilled in them the importance of saying, you can't undo once you pull the trigger. There is no do-over in a firearm accident, right? There is not. People die or they're maimed. And you have to understand that before I'm going to let you take the life of an animal. And I started them on small game. I know a lot of people nowadays are jumping them right into killing big deer or turkeys or whatever. And that's cool. Again, every parent makes their own decision. But for me, I didn't want them to peak out at 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way I looked at it. So I took my oldest son, mistake. I let him kill his first deer at 9. He was asleep in the stand with me. I woke him up when the deer came out. He pulled the gun up and shot it. He didn't get the full experience. That's like,
Yeah.
so my second son was 11, and we did it completely different. Right. But now he had been carrying his gun for 2 years, or a gun. And the way I did it, again, he had killed squirrels. They've been on dove hunts, and they were my bird dog. And I was,
Mhm.
which they did not get a lot of exercise. Okay. But they were there.
That's what my boys are when they go. They're the little bird dogs.
That's right. That's right. But so they can experience the hunt, and to try to instill in them that the hunt is more important than the kill. Okay. And I live in South Carolina. We got small deer anyway, but I never instilled in them trophy hunting. I was like, it's about the hunt. It's about the pursuit and watching deer and seeing deer and watching how they move. And we would sit a lot, Daddy, let me kill that one. No, we're not. We're just going to watch that one. No, yes, it's a doe day, but we're just going to watch. Let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy watching wildlife do what wildlife does, even if we wasn't here. That's what I call observing undisturbed wildlife, right? Let's just enjoy that. Or even when we're squirrel hunting, let's see how close we can get. Let's teach them how to stalk up on squirrel. I started my hunting career hunting eastern gray squirrels. I still love it, and I do it as often as I can. And I believe if you become a good small game hunter, you become a better big game hunter. I also believe, sidebar, that if you ever learn to become a trapper, you're going to become a much better hunter. That's another story, but so that's what I did. I started them at those ages, and they never hunted alone with a gun until they were 16. And even then, that they had to prove to me over and over with, I carried the gun when they were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I carried the gun. In a shooting house, or I used 2-man ladder stands. That's what I used primarily. And I tied it on the rope, and he'd get up, and then I'd get up and I'd pull the gun up, and we would go through all the safety, make sure that it's on safe, pointed in a safe direction. We would go through all that. And then when an animal approached that we decided we were going to take, I would give them the gun, but I controlled the safety. You're not shooting until I tell you to. And we would go through this repertoire, that we had trained, and then I would take the safety off and teach them what to do. And but mistakes I made was starting them too young and starting them. And I would say start them on small game, teach them about the hunt, not the kill. And I wanted them to ratchet up. You know what I'm saying by that is we start with squirrels and doves, start with small game. If you have rabbits in your areas, take them on a rabbit hunt. Man, talking about a lot of fun is listen to a pack of beagles chase a rabbit. That's a lot of fun. And you're teaching them that the hunt is more important than the kill. And the other thing that I did was when they killed their first big game animal, for us whitetails or turkeys, I cleaned their first one for them, showed them how. They had to do it from then on. I would be there watching. I'd be there guiding. I'd be there putting Band-Aids on. Who doesn't nick themselves cleaning deer, right? Yeah. I'd be there putting Band-Aids on. But they had to do it, boys and girls alike. I showed them on the first one. Then after that, it was on them. They had to do it so that they learned the whole process. I know a lot of people here in the South, they just take it to a deer cleaning station and pay them $50 to do it. I've never done that. I think if I'm going to take the animal's life, I owe it to that animal to take care of the animal, skinning, gutting, processing. I do the whole thing myself. And that's me. I know a lot of people have different opinion, but my personal opinion, I think it's lazy to take it to a processor, and you don't instill in your children the fullness of the hunt. I think the hunt starts when you start planning it. Robert Work said that in The Old Man and the Boy. If you've never read that book, it's the greatest outdoor book ever written. He talked about that the talking about going and the planning of going is just as good as going, right? But it doesn't stop when you pull the trigger. Now the work begins. We got to get it out of the woods. And this is before I had four-wheelers. They're dragging. I'm having to help because, you got a 70-pound kid trying to drag a 120-pound deer, right? But I'm helping, but they're doing most of the work, and the processing and everything all the way through the skinning, the gutting, the deboning, cubing it, grinding it, whatever it is, they're in the whole process. And I think that's important. Everybody's different in that regard, but I think that's important. So I would say to the dads out there is the other mistake I made is I'd keep them too long. And so what I learned was hunting afternoons. Kids don't like to get up early, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say legal shooting light 7:00. Don't take them till about 5. I know you want to be there at 3:30, Dad. I know, I do too. Take them about 5, and they can make it till 7. If you take them at 3:30, they're ready to go at 5:30. You're like, oh yeah, it's prime time. when he says he's ready to go or she says she's ready to go, you go. Because if you make them stay too long, now it's okay. So we got 15 more minutes of light. We can wait 15. That's okay. But if you try to stretch them into another hour, hour and a half, they're not going to go with you anymore. It's just too boring, right? It's too boring. Now, I never let my kids take screens with them. They would take coloring books or things of that nature. But I'm not a big screen guy. Of course, my kids are grown now. This was before smartphones, but they had the little Nintendo things and stuff like that.
And even nowadays, that's even more important, just with the cell phone, which my kids don't have cell phones, but with the cell phones and social media nowadays, I mean, that's even more of an importance to get them outside and get them off those phones for a little bit. And
well, they're missing the nature you're trying to expose to them.
Yes.
Because they're glued to their phone or their coloring book, or so I would let them sit there for a while. They're excited at first. They're looking around through the little pop-up tent or the ground blind or the 2-man ladders. Now I started them on the ground in the ground blinds because they were too little. I didn't want them to fall. But then if they get sleepy, let them go, right? Let them go to sleep. Let them have fun. As somebody put it to me like this: when you take your son or daughter hunting, let them take you. And when they're ready to go, you go. It doesn't matter if it's prime time. If they say, "Daddy, I'm cold and I'm ready to go." Okay, let's go. And you go. And because I have heard from so many dads, I ruined my kid by taking them to the duck blind when it was too cold and they were miserable, or I kept them out there too long. It's 15 degrees and we're breaking ice to set decoys, and they're like, and they're over there shivering. You're like, and they don't ever want to go again.
Yeah.
So you're trying to instill in them a passion for the hunt, not for the kill. So make the hunt enjoyable. And again, I think the biggest thing is when they're ready to go, you go, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, now if the big buck's standing out there,
yeah.
and you're just gonna wait. He's on his way. You just gonna have to just wait.
Wait just a few more minutes. He's coming.
I see that silhouette in the trees. It's coming out.
Yeah.
I know it's coming out. I really I like that idea because I mean so my family, we really hunt. So we homestead a lot, and so deer meat is our red meat for the year. And so it's kind of almost a different when we go out to deer. So well, we got to get us a doe, bud, and then we process it and stuff. And what's really funny is I think my kids enjoy the processing of the deer a lot more than even the hunt. Like my daughter, she'll go hunting just because she knows what's coming later. She's like, well, if dad gets a deer, then we get to process it. And I like that part. I'll go with you, dad, and it's just really, and I kind of like that when you go, because I see it with the processing. When we start processing, all three of my kids are right there with me, cutting the meat off and skinning it. And then by the end of the day, it's just me and my wife and maybe my daughter just cutting it up. Because when they're done, it's like, well, it's all right. We'll finish this up. Don't worry. We'll finish grinding it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that kind of fun stuff. And I like that. I really like that mentality towards hunting too.
Thank you.
It's nice.
And I definitely, I'm going to try because like I take my kids hunting, but they kind of, like you said, they're my bird dogs and I call them my bird dogs and they think it's funny. And, but I like that, taking the Red Ryder and teaching them gun safety, because I'm teaching them gun safety as we're going, but that's an extra step, like you said, of putting a gun in their hands and starting to get them to learn that responsibility. So I like that as well. So
it worked for me, it worked for us.
So moving on, kind of, and you can relate this to kids, relate this to yourself or the people listening. So, when you're pursuing your outdoor passions, is, let's say, deer hunting, duck hunting, whatever you're doing, hiking, camping, how can you, focus, kind of spend some time focusing on God in that time? So, when you're out deer hunting and you're waiting for that big buck to come in, what are some things you can do, or what are some things people can focus on to help worship while they're in the outdoors, and also seeking God while they're doing these passions, and even teaching, you're teaching your kids how to pursue Christ and pursue God, and look to those things while they're pursuing their passions. And I do want to read Romans 1:20 real quick. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. So, I think getting outdoors in God's creation is awesome. And So what's your advice to somebody in the outdoor world that wants to pursue God while they're pursuing what they love, is, in the worldly
Yeah.
aspect, I guess.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of ways that you can approach that. And one of the things I do, especially if I'm alone hunting and I know I got a long sit, right? I'll take my Bible with me, and as opposed to reading it on the screen, because that's my screen detox. When I'm out there hunting, I take my Bible with me with pages and a cover and everything. Yeah, and a pen. I know, hard to believe. It still blows my mind when you go to church and you see people and the preacher's going to read the scripture and they pull up their phones. I'm like, there's something about holding the book,
Yes.
the word in your hand and feeling those super thin pages. And for me, it is anyway. But I take my Bible with me and I read it. And I get a lot of questions on that of what, somebody who hasn't read in a while. I don't know what. Start with the red words. It's always a good place to start.
Yeah.
And if you're still not sure, then I tell people start with John. I think the Gospel of John's a great starting point. And once you finish that, you can go to Romans and and get some of that. And if you're through with that, talk to your pastor or someone else. James is another good one. Those three are, I think, good starting points. And also with the Psalms. I always thought the Psalms were for old people until I started living life and realizing it's for everybody and it's for where you are right now. It's amazing how the Psalms speak to you right where you are on the oddest circumstances that you're going through. And you open the Psalms like, whoa, even David went through.
Mm-hmm.
But I take the Bible with me. I also spend time, especially mornings are my favorites. I like hunting. I love watching the world come awake. I love listening for the first bird to chirp and to watch the sun rays come through the trees at the first thing in the morning. I love that. And for me, it's just being in awe of how God is able to hear with me and how he created all this for our enjoyment and for our sustenance as well. It's not just for enjoyment, it's for our sustenance. And I think being aware, as actually interviewed a guy the other day, and he used this phrase, which I thought, well, that's a good phrase. He said, just be present, be where you are. Don't let your mind wander. Don't be thinking about, oh gosh, I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to rebuild this engine, or I got 16 yards to cut next weekend, or where, be present, be where you are, enjoy what you're seeing, hearing, smelling, try to take it all in. And I think when you do that, you will feel the presence of the Holy God with you, because he created that for you to enjoy and to experience. It doesn't matter if you're in the same deer stand you've hunted for 23 years, or if it's your first time you've been in the Rocky Mountains or on the Great Plains hunting antelope. Be present and just acknowledge that the God of all creation made this, and that you, as beautiful as all this is, you are made in his image, and you carry that special thumbprint from God that said there's no one in the world just like you. And God said, I want Justin, I want David, I want Pete, I want Lisa, I want Michaela, just pick a name. And he made them uniquely for a purpose. And just I think being present and acknowledging that the God of the world made this for you to enjoy is a great place.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And that's one thing I try to do is sometimes, which, and get out there and read my Bible and things like that. But especially when you go new places, like we went to, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'm going hunting in New Mexico this year, but like I took my family, I built a little truck bed camper. And then we went to New Mexico to the mountains and spent some time there just hanging out. And we went hiking a little bit. And especially in today's world, getting kids off screens, getting away from phone, getting into an area where you don't have cell phone service. And like you said, just detoxing and, hey, nobody can call us. We can't call them, but we're all okay. And we wake up and there's ducks flying and we're in the mountains and, it's 40 degrees when it's 100 degrees back home, getting
Yeah,
outside and enjoying those things is awesome.
it is. It is. How old are your children?
So I have my youngest is 4, and then I have my boy just turned 8, and then my oldest is 10. So I've got 3
Okay.
boys.
Okay. Okay. That's a good age to really get them out there and to really
Yes.
enjoy it. It is. Yeah.
Yes, and I like my oldest. He last couple years, I've taken my 2 oldest ones deer hunting a few times here and there. They don't go very often, but kind of like you said, I kind of try to take them just in the evenings, and we sit and try to
Mhm.
just go somewhere where we can see some deer and enjoy it and have fun. And they enjoy going dove hunting because we can sit and talk and
Yeah.
we'll get up and walk around and look for the dove and do all that kind of stuff. So
And
it's a fun age.
that's the I think the ticket to getting them started is with the smaller game, because you don't have to. So what if you spook the squirrel?
Mm-hmm.
There's another one in 15 more yards, right? Yeah. So it's not like you've been waiting on this deer. Be quiet, be still, be quiet, be still. Be quiet. You got a kid with all this energy, and you're telling him to be
Oh
still and be
yeah.
quiet for 3 hours. Come on. So by taking a small game hunting, especially in states that may have rabbit season year round or
Mm-hmm.
squirrel season year round, we don't have that here in South Carolina. But man, get them out there and chase some jackrabbits in the prairie, in the desert, or some squirrels when the leaves are on the trees. Makes it really hard, But then they can talk, they can be quiet a little bit. But when they get fidgety, you get up and move to a new tree, or get up and move to a new location, and just teach them the fun of the pursuit more than and I've made that mistake too much, especially turkey hunting sons. I want them to hear that gobble and they just freeze, but not for long.
Yeah.
Where is he? Where is he? Be still. Where is he?
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes. You see him running away. That was him. Yep.
I'll
Yeah.
say a
So,
funny story real quick. The first time I took my oldest, he may have been like 6 or 7. So he was still a little young, probably. But so we went out and we weren't going to take it too seriously, but my wife sent him some zebra cakes, and it was like here and it was like 100 degrees. So he wanted a snack and she gave him a zebra cake, and we got out there. And by the time we get to where we're sitting, he opens up the zebra cake to eat it and it had melted. So that was one mistake we made.
yeah.
Take
Yeah.
snacks that don't melt.
Yeah. Little Debbie oatmeal pies. They're the
Yes.
lifesaver of every hunter, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
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 I've always said, if you ever find my dead body, there'll be little Debbie wrappers all around it somewhere. I can tell you that. I keep that company in business.
That's funny. All right.
I
So,
kind of like
or go ahead, Dustin.
what I was just gonna say again with the difference. Like you talk about the small game. I mean, I didn't really small game. I did a ton of small game hunting when I was a kid, and I mean it was rabbit hunting, and then some like we didn't. My pa trapped coons. I never really trapped coons, so we do some coon hunting and stuff. But like when I started hunting, I didn't really do the small game hunt except with my youngest, and because he's all over the place. And he was like, Dad, I really want to go hunting with you. And then he would go deer hunting and just kind of well, let's go over here. Okay, bud, we gotta be quiet, but we can move. And then finally, I mean, kind of like with that, it dawned on me. It's like, hey, bud, you wanna just go rabbit hunting? Oh, we can hunt those? I'm like, yeah, well, we can. And I mean, it was like, he's like, oh, this is great. And he would get quiet and still and kind of creep up on them. And I mean, it was a whole
Yeah.
new world for him of like this, Dad, we don't have to be quiet the whole time. I'm like, no, we don't. We can chat, we can talk, we can rock this road this way and then come back over here. And it was just like,
Yeah.
for a kid that I honestly thought, I was like, he's just not going to like hunting that much. And then now he's like, so we're going rabbit hunting again, Dad, are we going
Yeah.
out? Are we going to walk those roads? I'm like, yeah, let's go see what's over there. And I like that because it didn't hit me until my third kid, and it's like, man, I wish I'd have kind of, pushed that with my oldest, but he likes rabbit hunting way more than he likes deer hunting. I mean, it's deer season. He's like, Dad, we gonna go rabbit hunting again? I'm like, well, bud, it's about time to go try to, get some deer. And he goes, I don't know, man, but want to go look some rabbits. I'm like, okay.
Let's go do that. Hey, rabbit's really good to eat too now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. A lot of fun.
My wife
Really
can
good
make
to
a
eat.
mean rabbit and dumplings. I'm telling Caleb, next
Oh,
time
yeah.
if we get some rabbit and dumplings, man, that's where it's
We got to
at.
do that for our next life group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get your advice too, kind of changing subjects a little bit. I'm going mule deer hunting for the first time in my life. I'm going to New Mexico. So headed not too far out west, but out west a little ways. And I'll kind of preface this by saying it's a unit where lots of tags are given out, and I've heard that that there's some road hunter, lots of people just kind of drive the county roads and drive the roads and look in, and people don't really get off the beaten path a whole lot. So lots of tags, lots of people. It's the second rifle season, so lots of tags, and then in first season, then the next season. So what's your advice, I guess, kind of for that, but also just for somebody who maybe has never hunted out west and going out west for their first time to go on a big hunt in a new area, in a new state that they've been, but never hunted in. So what advice do you have for somebody like that?
What I see in that, the biggest mistake people make is unrealistic expectations. Okay. They're going out there to kill a 30-inch 4x4 mule deer, or even a 25-inch. Those are few and far between. Very few and far between.
On YouTube, they're everywhere.
I know. But they're not in that unit that you're going to go hunt. Okay.
Oh yeah, well, that's true.
They're not there. Those are on private ranches. Okay. Those are on private ranches, or in the very limited draw areas.
Yeah.
Same thing with 6x6 elk. I mean, they're on ranches, not high fence. They're all free range, but those ranches are, they're planting for wildlife, and they're keeping the wildlife on their ranches. That's where so unrealistic expectations. So the expectations should be to enjoy the experience and hope to get something. And my rule of thumb has always been, I'm not a huge horn hunter. My rule of thumb has always been, the first legal animal that is respectable, I'm going to take it, because you may not get it. You may not see another one.
Yeah.
Right. So if I have an either sex tag and I got a shot, and it's day one of a 6-day hunt, I'm probably not going to take a doe on day one, but I will be tickled to death if I end up with a doe versus an empty tag. All right. Because to me, it's about the experience of hunting a different place I've never been, and meeting people along the way, and hunting a different way than I hunt here in South Carolina. Right. Because out west is big country. So have realistic expectations, number one. Number two, stay within inside your budget. Okay. That's a big one. I actually wrote an ebook called Planning Your First Out-of-State Hunt. It's on Amazon, Kindle and stuff. And I say in there, because you've already planned yours, just set your budget first. Decide what you're going to hunt. Hunt mule deer. My budget is X. I drew a tag in New Mexico. Okay. What's next? Do a lot of cyber scouting. Go on OnX. And I love OnX. There's a lot of other ones, but that's the only one I use. They're not a sponsor. I just love them. And scout. If you know what you know, that people ride the roads, right? And they're pushing deer like crazy.
Oh yeah.
All right. They're pushing deer. And so I would use the OnX and say, all right, here's where 3 or 4 roads come together. I don't want to be anywhere around there, because those deer are going to be a far away. I would look for gaps between the roads and try to get the middle. Right. So if you have a road going this way and a road going that way, for you people on YouTube, say right and left, if you're listening to audio, then, and they're 2.5 miles apart from each other, try to find a way to get to the middle on the at the highest ground you can. So you use your optics to look and see where they're pushing too. Cause most people, even in the West, they don't get more than a mile and a half off the road. A lot of that's because we come from the East, and I live at 400 feet elevation, and now I'm hunting at 9,000 feet, and I can't breathe. I don't care how many days in advance I have. You just can't train for elevation when you live at 400 feet. You just can't.
So yeah. So when we went, which we're in like central Texas, so there's not very many hills around us or big mountains or anything. So when I first went to Wyoming, I felt like I was fit. I was like, we were hunting in the Black Hills, and I was like, oh, it's not big mountains, it'll be, it's not that big of a deal. And then we heard turkeys gobbling, went up that first hill, and it didn't seem like it was very much. But by the time we got to the top, we were huffing and breathing hard and couldn't hardly walk. And we're like, oh, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought,
Yeah. I mean, you can be in great shape, but when there's no air,
yes.
And breathing is necessary. 2 years ago, I hunted in Wyoming. We had antelope and mule deer tag, and we hunted the bighorns. And we were camping at 8,000 something, somewhere in there, around 8,000 feet. And I was sleeping in the back of my truck, and we had trained. Again, I'm training at 400 feet elevation, right? And we were there for 2 weeks, and it's still by the 10th day, my lungs still were not ready for that. So you have to have realistic expectations. And think about how far you're going to go and how much weight you're going to carry and all of that. And I'll say this, another mistake that a lot of first-time Western hunters take is they overpack their backpack because they pack for fear instead of reality. Well, if this goes wrong, I'm going to need this. And if this happens, I'm going to need that. And you're carrying 35 pounds when you only need to be carrying about 8. That's about all you need to carry. You need to carry your skin and knives. You need to carry your skin and knives, your tags, of course, and your meat bags. That's all you got. And water and food. That's all you need to carry. And my buddy was with me. He had 2 boxes of, right. He had a tarp. He had a fly for the tarp in case, fire starting materials. I had all. I said, dude, you are going to die out here. Now I overpacked a little bit too, but I mean, his pack was probably seriously 25, 26 to go out hunting for the day.
Yeah.
And
now, do you carry optics, or what kind of?
Oh yeah. You got to have optics that way. So I use 10 power binoculars, 10 by 40, 10 by 44s, because you get much bigger than that, they get heavy. I don't like the big pouch on my chest. I use this. It's made by Rick Young Outdoors. It's just so it holds it tight.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
What is the name of that thing?
I don't remember. I used to have one. I haven't had one.
I love it because you can change it in 15 different ways. But I carry that on my chest, and I carry just basically it's a frame. It's an Alps hybrid pack. It has 2 great big pockets, and I just take my skin and knives and some game bags, and Ziploc bags. I will debone the entire animal right there, and I have learned that a 200-pound animal will fit in 11 gallons.
Huh. That's a good tip. Hot tip right there.
I take a couple of boxes of Ziploc bag of gallon size zip with a little zipper of those, and I debone it, and I have a Sharpie, right, neck, put all the neck meat in it, and rib meat, back straps, front shoulder, flank steak, all that kind. So realistic expectations, and you got to have great optics. I don't like carrying spotting scopes because they're just heavy and bulky and stuff. So I carry 10 by 44s binoculars. I got a lot of different brands. So just whichever ones I'm using at the time. And a good seat cushion.
Yes.
Because you're going to be sitting down glassing. And I like one made for backpackers, just inflatable. So it rolls up to about that big and about that long. Open it up, blow into it. You got a nice air cushion. Doesn't weigh anything when you're not carrying it. That's what I use.
Is it hard to blow up when you're up in the mountains?
Well, it has that. No.
Or do you have a hand pump? I guess.
No. I'm trying to say the word here. It has a.
It inflates itself, maybe.
That self-inflating foam.
That's perfect. Yeah.
And then I do just a little bit of extra puff in it to get a little bit more puffy.
Yeah.
Because I have an old man's bottom, and so I need a lot of cushion. But a good cushion, knee pads, most overlooked thing in Western hunters is knee pads. Knee pads. Some of the companies now are incorporating knee pads into their pants.
Yes.
But if they're not there, I always take them with me. Go to Harbor Freight, get the Velcro knee pad, because you're going to be crawling on some rough stuff, rocky thorn knee pads, gloves, and don't overpack. Do not overpack. When I hunt out west, I only eat dehydrated food, and so that's all I eat. I buy the package from, is it Mountain House? Does that sound right?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Yeah. I buy one of their kits that has like 30 meals in it for $120 or something. It's got breakfast, lunch, supper, and I just throw a couple of those in my bag and add my water and stir it up and eat it. It's got lots of energy, lots of carbs to keep you going, and doesn't weigh anything.
Cool.
I like that.
Well, or go ahead.
Not realistic expectation. Did I ever tell you my only mule deer hunting story, Caleb? I was like 19 or 20 and we were going to go up in the Panhandle here in Texas. And it's just a little like 2 week season. I think right after Thanksgiving, we were going to go and we are going to hunt for weeks straight. And in that entire week, I didn't see a single mule deer, not one mule deer the whole time. And so then I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to go back to Central Texas and just hunt whitetail. And then this last year or 2 or 3 years ago, so I'll occasionally I play bass, and so I'll play bass in some praise bands and stuff. So I'm up there at a Christian encampment, and like I come out of the worship center one night, and there's like 5 mule deer just standing
Yeah.
there, and I'm like, this is not right. Like this isn't right
That's
at
how it
all.
works.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because like I said, I've hunted in 19 states. I haven't been successful in 19 states.
Mhm.
I call myself an elk repellent. Okay. I'm O for elk, O for, and I've been a lot. I don't know what it is. I do everything like you're supposed to do, but you don't control the weather. You
Mhm.
don't control. I mean, it just really stinks that when you've been planning this for 2 years, saving your money, saving your vacation time, and you go out west and it's 85 degrees in November. You got to be kidding me. And the elk are just as high as they can go or deep into the canyons in that dark timber, and you're not going to get them out. You're just not. They're just they can outweight you because it's a 5-day season, right? So they can outweight you, or it pours rain for 3 of your 5 days that you're there, just pours rain. That happened the last time I was out west in Colorado hunting elk during archery season. I was like, it's just never going to stop raining. And, you can't control that. So have realistic expectations. When those things happen, just try to enjoy the experience. Just come back with memories, if nothing
Yes.
else. I've killed one mule deer on all the hunts I've been on, and it was in Idaho. And he's not very big, but it was my thing was I want a 4x4. I don't care how big he is. I want a 4x4, and I got one, and it was awesome, And I've last year or 23, I killed my first antelope, and it's really hard to draw antelope tags, man. Golly.
I'm building points in Wyoming.
Yeah, I got 8
So,
now.
You've got 8.
Yeah, I didn't get drawn in 23, but I found a leftover tag and I got it.
Okay.
And so I went out there because I was drawn from a mule deer. And so I said, well, I'm out there. I want to hunt antelope too. Well, I didn't get drawn for it, but I found a leftover tag in a different unit. So we hunted mule deer for 8 days, did not see a deer. Okay. We did not see a deer.
I've been there.
Yeah.
And we went antelope hunting, and the antelope hunt lasted 22 minutes.
Yeah.
We saw him from the road, went in, made a stalk, shot him. Well, it wasn't quite that easy, but it was a long stalk, and and I actually shot him running, and it was pretty cool. Got it on video, on the iPhone video, but still of him running, and we've ranged it after he failed 167 yards running. He was quartering away, and I shot this with a CVA 6.5 PRC.
Wow.
And just dropped him, just rolled him up.
Yeah.
It was pretty sick. So, but expectations, man, we were so excited. We're in a good unit for mule deer. Did not see it. Not even a doe. Did not see a deer hunting daylight to dark.
Yeah. And the unit I'm going, I talked to a guy that hunted there, I guess last year. And I don't know if he actually walked this far, but he said, and this could have been an exaggeration, but he said him and his dad went, and they both had a tag, and they parked the Ranger, and his dad went this way and he went, one went one way and the other went the other way. He said he walked 40 miles that day and then gets back that evening. I'm kind of feeling maybe an exaggeration, but he basically was like, I walked all day long. Just, I guess I don't know if he stopped and glassed or if he just walked and tried to jump stuff up, or, what he said. He walked forever that day, gets back that evening to the Ranger, sits down, and then here comes a 6-point jumps out right in front of him, or a 3-point, a Western, but he said a little, a buck jumped right in front of him after he'd been walking all day. So you never know when it's going to happen.
That's right.
He said he saw nothing all day,
Yep. Yeah. But so I think if you get lucky, and now we're talking about DIY guys, right? We're not talking about those who are paying outfitters to go, right? So again, I think the realistic expectations it's about the experience, hunting in a new area, a new way for a different animal than what you may have at home. And if you get something, that's bonus, but just enjoy the experience. Even, I think for a good hunter to really be a good hunter, they have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It means it's going to be cold. It's going to be wet. It's going to be too freaking hot. It's going to be like the one time I tried to hunt mule deer in South Texas, it was 112 degrees during the day. I mean, we were right south of Marathon is where we were. Way down south.
Yeah.
And, it takes 1,000 acres to grow a cow down there. There's just nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't know how anything lives in that. But one of the guys ended up killing a mouflon, a feral.
Oh, yeah.
It's a feral goat of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's it.
Mouflon sheep. Yeah.
We did not see any deer. It was 100 and something degrees every day in November. You can't control that. But we had a great time, and we still talk about it. And that was in 2001, right? We still, when we get together, two of them have already died, but those of us that are still around, we still talk about how much fun we had on that. So, taking the animals a bonus, enjoy the experience. If you hire an outfitter, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
You better if I'm paying $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, you better put me on animals.
Yeah.
You better,
oh yeah. That one, that's a different story, but yeah, that's one where I'm like, I would be I would be a nervous wreck the whole time. It would almost be worse than anyways. So well, we're getting close to an hour. I guess Dustin, do you have any more questions? I've got 2 more questions for him. They'll be quick.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. Kid.
All right. So my last 2 questions, I guess my first one is, so for my son, I want to ask for him, what advice do you have for a young kid, which he's 10? And like I told you earlier, he loves writing and loves, he's into writing comics and graphic novels and starting to write longer books. What advice do you have for a young aspiring writer?
He's 10 years old.
Yes.
The best advice for someone who wants to get into the writing world is to keep writing. You get better. Everything you do is better than and that sounds very cliche-ish, but it is so true. After having written for the last 20 something years, 25, 26 years professionally, for publication. Right. Also I would say, the rule of thumb is write something every day. If you're a writer, write something every day. And you can concentrate on grammar or you can concentrate on content. You can't concentrate on both. Okay. So every writer has their own style. I'll tell you how I do it is if I have an assignment, that's easy. I want you to write about hunting the rut in Missouri. Well, what has not been written about that?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go read 5, 6, 10 different stories about it. And I'm going to take all these little nuggets. I'm going to make my own story out of it. Okay. That's super easy. But if you're creating something, you start with an idea. And the idea may be, let's see here. I want to figure out how to hunt turkeys in the fall, something I've never done. All right. I'm using an outdoor analogy because it's an outdoor story. Right. All right. It was nothing I've never done. So I'm going to research. Do not overlook the research. You have not thought of everything. You cannot think of everything. All right. Now I'm a nonfiction writer. Okay. You cannot think of everything. Somebody else has already thought about it. Somebody else has already covered it. You don't reinvent the wheel. Right now. So use your research. We have the internet. Somebody has written something on hunting fall turkeys. Even though Virginia and West Virginia, I think there's only 3 states now that you can still do it, maybe 4, that you can still do it. See, that's a little I know about it. I'd go research that. Where can you hunt turkeys in the fall legally? What methods are allowed and blah, blah, blah. And then you take all that and do it. If you're writing fiction, which I play with, but I've never tried to get anything published, you got to have a story line. Don't worry about your protagonist or your antagonist. Get your storyline. What is the story? Stephen King, who I do not like his style, his horror stuff, right? Mm-hmm. He's an excellent teacher on the craft of writing, right? Start with a question. All novels start with a question. What if Caleb was going to Dallas and he had a flat tire? That's your question. And then you build your story around it, right? Caleb may not even be the protagonist. He may be just a secondary person. Whoever comes up to help the Good Samaritan may be the protagonist. Just start with a question. What question do you want to answer? All right. Here's a little tidbit of something I'm working on. It's because I love the hunting world, right? So I'm writing a novel about a hunting club, an old Southern hunting club where people gather and they run dogs for deer and stuff, which I've never done, but so I'm writing about it, right? And my question is what happens when somebody who's never done it joins this, and how do they fit in? So that's my question. And my protagonist is the guy who's like, I'm new to hunting. I want to be this, and I want to see what it's all about, and boom, and he goes into it, and then you continue to answer that question, and as the story evolves, the questions mount, more questions come, and you answer those, but those are secondary questions. Stick to the main question. What is the like Stephen King said when he wrote the one with the clown? What's that called?
Yeah.
Some of that, yeah. He said, "What if a clown became a killer?" That was his question. And he wrote this whole graphic thing. You know, I'm not into horror stuff, but the point is you write every day. And as Stephen King said, he writes 2,000 words a day, every day. Some days that may take him 2 hours. Some days it may take him 15 hours. But he says, if you write 2,000 words a day, in 90 days, you got a book, or in 60 days, you got a book. You know, that's 120,000 words is a typical adult novel, right? So 2,000 words a day. Right, and let the story evolve, but answer the question. Okay, you got to start with a question. So, to him, I say write something every day. And if you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Life gets busy. Yeah. Life gets busy. I can't write every day with everything I have going on. So, but when I can, I do. You know,
I don't think he's missed a day in like 4 years so far.
Also,
so
read a lot. The more you read, the better your writing is. Again, all the great outdoor writers that I know, like the legends in outdoor business, you may not know them, but you know, Jim Castor, Terry Madewell, even Jim Zumbo, and Jack O'Connor, who's long dead now. They all,
Jack O'Connor.
Gene Hill is my favorite outdoor writer of all time. They booked 2 to 3 hours a day to read. They read 2 to 3 hours every day. They said the more they read, the better their writing became. So don't skip reading other people's stuff, because their little stuff gets in your brain and it comes out, and you create your own voice. So read.
Well, that's awesome. That's great advice, and he'll love that. And I appreciate that. The last question is going to be it may throw you off, but we normally start this way, but we completely forgot, which is okay, but we do that sometimes. Do you know any good?
Happens quite often.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Do you know any good dad jokes?
Oh, wow. You did catch me off guard there.
Yeah. And if you don't, I've got one I can end us on.
You got to give me some more. I got a lot of them, but not right on the top of my head here.
I completely, this one slipped our minds. I was excited to talk about this other stuff, and I just blew right past it.
Yeah, I got nothing.
You got nothing. Okay, I'll end us with one. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I'll end us with one. Why was the hunting dog sitting in the shade? Because he didn't want to be a hot dog.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh,
that's sad.
I don't know if the dad jokes are just getting worse and worse.
Yeah, that was sad.
Sad. But that's how a dad joke's supposed to go, right? It's supposed to be like, oh, that's embarrassing.
Some dad jokes at least get you a grin.
Yeah.
That was just a moan. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, before we close, I would like to thank you for allowing me to be on your show. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor. I've really enjoyed this time together. And if just let me know when this comes out so I can share it on my social media stuff, and hopefully you can get some more listens that way.
For sure, and we definitely appreciate it. And it's been such an honor to talk to you for a little bit and get your advice, and just have a good time fellowshipping with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
I feel really good knowing I'm not the only one who got skunked while mule deer hunting.
Oh, Lord, no.
So, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of us out there who have.
I was looking for tags this evening, trying to find any leftover tags, but I had shoulder surgery back in May, so I didn't plan any out-of-state hunts for this fall, knowing that I'm not going to be ready like I need. So I'm already planning for 26. Like I said, I got 8 antelope points. I got 7 elk points. I got one mule deer point that I drew last year in Wyoming. So I'm looking at other states to start getting well. But Wyoming's my favorite state, so that's where
I love Wyoming.
If I could move there, I would. If I could move there, I would. Yeah.
I keep trying to talk my wife into moving there. I'll have 5 points next year, so I don't know. That'll be hard. I'm wanting to go soon, but I don't know.
Yeah, I will say, a lot of people who go out west, I got to get an elk. I want an elk. Cool, good for you. I love antelope and mule deer hunting. I love antelope and mule. That is so much more fun to me than the elk. Now, I'm saying that as somebody who hasn't bow hunted elk during the rut when they're bugling and calling them in and stuff, because I've had such a bad shoulder for so long and finally got it fixed. I haven't been with bow hunting several years. So having not experienced that, I love the pursue a mule. So that's what I would use.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I've enjoyed just chatting with you. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for listening to Raising the Wild Ones podcast. I know me and Caleb are just a couple of redneck theologians, right? Kind of came up with that term a little while ago, and it's just kind of making us laugh. But that's really just what we are, right? Every single one of us is a theologian. Sit there and just think about the Bible, and me and Caleb are rednecks, so that makes us redneck theologians. And so we just thank you guys for listening to us, and if you want to just give us a holler and let us know about topics you may want to listen to, or things you may want to say, or if you have an idea for a guest host, or if you yourself want to be a guest host, just drop us a line. Just let us know. Just give us a ring on the old telly. Actually, not really, we don't have a cell phone number, right? But we do have an email, and you can send us an email, right, at raisingwildonespodcast@gmail.com. There'll be a link for that podcast down in the description, and so just kind of click on that and just let us know what you guys want to hear from us. And we like to hear from you guys too. We like to know what you guys think of our podcast. And so also just tell your friends, share it on social media. Just let people know when you're sitting down having a cup of coffee with your hunting buddies or fishing buddies. Just say, hey guys, listen to this podcast. It's these two rednecks, and they're kind of weird sometimes, but it's fine because they talk about some cool stuff. And so just let people know, and that's how the word gets out, and that's how it gets shared. So we just thank you guys so much for your support and for listening to us. And yeah, tune in next time for more from the Redneck Theologians.
Hey, Wild Ones. Do you love what you've been hearing? Our deep dives into theology, Bible stories, and the Word of God? If so, we need your help. For just $6 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee these days, you can join our Patreon community. It's a simple but powerful way to support our mission of sharing the gospel with as many people as possible. And when you join, you'll get some awesome perks like early access to episodes, detailed show notes, and even biblically accurate coloring pages you won't find anywhere else, trust me. Plus, we're giving 10% of everything we receive straight to missions, so your support goes even further. So click the link below in the show notes and join us on Patreon today. Let's keep raising the wild ones together.